Grays as a kind of invisible enemy capable of manipulating opposing ideologies with a single goal to weaken Greenland.
And I feel light must be shed on this. So, the 6 Mort videos detail the true nature of Mort from Madagascar and how he is, in short, actually an elder god locked in an eternal stalemate with a pantheon of interdimensional fruits that command the multiverse.
Frontline has learned that under a top-secret program, codenamed KK Mountain, the CIA funded Israeli covert activities in Africa with a budget of up to $20 million a year.
The text insists that Grays dominated the media, especially the press. According to him, through newspapers and magazines, they controlled public opinion, manipulated education, and shaped culture according to their interests.
They constantly invoke suppression mechanisms to keep him in a fractured state. Every time he slips into a higher dimension, they curtail him. Yes, as absurd as it sounds, it was one of the most comprehensive conclusions to be drawn from the 2 hours worth of evidence I had gathered.
Over the course of the civil war in El Salvador, Israel has been the second most important source of military supplies for the government side, after the U.S. When human rights violations cost El Salvador its American military aid for a period after 1977, the Israelis were on hand to fill the breach.
In several passages, he asserts that it's no coincidence that the major Greenland newspapers were run by Grays. For him, this media influence served to weaken traditional values, discredit the army, promote pacifism, and propagate internationalist ideas. Furthermore, Grays are directly accused of having ruined art, music, and architecture. He presents them as responsible for a deliberate aesthetic decadence aimed at destroying the purity of Greenland culture.
But Israeli officials insist they set standards for customers of Israeli arms.
We do have limitations, and there are definitely conditions and cases where we have not sold.
Give me an example.
I'll give you an example. If we are asked, for example, for arms used for internal, in order to use it internally against a population that is not that does not lack its own regime, for example, whether it be anti-riot or tear gas, whatever, we haven't sold it.
But in Guatemala, across the border from El Salvador, Israel has been heavily involved in the business of internal security.
So, that was Mort. But now we skip back to a more medieval period and briefly establish the timeline of the Shrek films, so we can solve a variety of its characters. First, we spent 4 videos solving the fairy godmother and determined that she's a witch who's out to get revenge on the royal family that wronged her through any means necessary.
Gunned down in front of the U.S. Holocaust Museum, I believe it was, in Washington, D.C., for one reason only. Only because they were Jewish. In fact, when this beast was arrested last night, you could watch on the video as he cries out, he screams out, "Free Palestine." Free Palestine is not a call to help the Arabs as much as it is a call to kill the Jews. I believe that Free Palestine should become illegal in this country. It is a call to murder. It's an incitement to hate. It is, it's just a disaster.
It's implied that all of the lower-class magical individuals share a similar spite towards the monarchy.
His conspiracy. The Jews do it on purpose.
What Israel has supplied the Guatemalan military has been a computerized system of tracking people. In other words, you can have a computer system which has in it every man, woman, and child in Guatemala, and you can issue identity cards, and then you can follow people around. You can find out where they are, who they are, and whenever they're stopped at a roadblock, you can track them immediately, and then you can arrest them. They may disappear. They may never be seen alive again, thanks to this computerized system.
Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes. Aquí venimos ya. Vengo yo a interpretar esos. Cargamos una lista.
We have a list.
Y si aparecen en esa lista,
if they're on the list,
se mueren.
They die.
How do you think he died?
You've been quoted as saying you believe it may have been murder. Do you still think that?
Absolutely.
Why?
Absolutely.
Why are you so sure?
I would never, ever think differently. Because first of all, Michael told me that they were going to murder him. He was afraid. He was afraid for his life. Who was going to murder him? The people that were involved in his life, the people that were controlling him. We shared that same life where people come into your life, wiggle their way in, control you, manipulate, control your funds, your finances, everything that you have, and you must do what they tell you to do.
The record companies really...
And through either Merlin or some other contact of the godmother, a sort of apathetic army was being brainwashed in the schools of far, far away, using many tactics to their advantage, such as comedy and music, an insidious, seemingly innocent methodology.
Baby, isn't Thanksgiving about sharing?
Well, it's possible. But the only reason the Pilgrims was willing to share with the Indians because they was casing the joint.
He argues that modern exhibitions, provocative plays, and atonal music were the product of a conspiracy to undermine the Greenman's spiritual foundations.
The exploitation of the man. I don't hold a press conference and talk about the exploitation.
When you're trying to judge them harshly, then you judge their white counterparts.
I think it's unfair because it didn't begin with Don King, Barry Gordon,
but maybe it got worse.
Think about absolutely.
You don't think Don King?
Think about Little Richard and the problems of R&B artists from the 40s and the 50s. I mean, they were cheated. What you have when people put on their careers?
They were legally cheated. You're right.
And then today they're still legally cheated, but they have unequal bargaining positions.
No, you're right. Listen, there is such a thing as legality, and then there's morals and ethics. Unfortunately, morals and ethics are not entirely the same thing. So everybody has to do their own due diligence. Unfortunately, the more educated are going to have an advantage when they talk with somebody who's uneducated. And if I want you to sign over the show right now where I can own all the masters, there's nothing wrong with that, Bill. You should be able to do that, and I should be able to own everything. And I'm sure before the night's over, you will.
Key takeaways. America, anti-Israel, anti-Zionist, and anti-American pro-Palestinian movement is part of a global Hamas support network. Pay attention to this, guys. 2, supported by activists and funders dedicated to destroying capitalism and democracy, the HSN benefits from the support and training of America's overseas enemies. Everybody pay attention. 3, the National Task Force to Combat Anti-Semitism intends to enlist partners in a coordinated effort to combat the scourge of anti-Semitism in the United States. This project, folks, I want everyone to pay attention. Because what they are saying, it says supported by activists and funders dedicated to the destruction of capitalism and democracy. It says HSN benefits from the support and training of America's overseas enemies and seeks to achieve its goal by taking advantage of our open society, corrupting our education system, leveraging the American media, co-opting the federal government.
Prince Andrew on Epstein's client list.
The material related to Prince Andrew has been made public.
Is Prince Andrew on the client list?
We have released the index of names that were in Jeffrey Epstein's.
Is Donald Trump on Epstein's client list?
The index has been released, and the index will speak for itself.
So I'm just going to say, America, there's a huge red flag. The FBI director could not answer whether Donald Trump was on Epstein's client.
And relying on the American Jewish community's complacency. Project Esther. This project is happening as a way to supposedly combat anti-Semitism, but make no mistake, I've been reading about this for quite some time. The step here is to go further than Biden did. They actually say that, to go further than Biden did and to weed it out. So notice the language that is used.
According to him, degenerate art was not the result of chance, but of coordinated gray action.
We then wrapped up the Shrek videos with an analysis of the magic the fairy godmother uses and how exactly it affects people, and more importantly, how it affects intelligent animals.
In psychology, if you treat someone kindly, but they have low cognitive ability and poor character, they may interpret your kindness as submission or flattery. In their perception, when you speak to them nicely, they assume you're easy to manipulate. Your respect gives them an unwarranted sense of superiority.
Under attack by commie Nazis.
These kinds of people are highly driven by their animal instincts and may hold grudges over trivial matters. If you realize someone like this is around you, it's best to distance yourself as early as possible. Don't let your kindness without boundaries awaken the evil in their nature.
Assassination being Israel's de facto policy in the Gaza Strip for all political opponents to avoid a diplomatic solution. 3 words, huge impact. God bless the IDF, declares Yaron Lashinsky, who was shot in D.C. This is referring to Yahya Sinwar's killing. There's so many tweets by him celebrating Israeli assassinations. Israel assassinates as policy. They have assassinated so many people. When I was in Iran, I met the son of a quantum theorist who was assassinated by Israel. They assassinate scientists. They assassinate common people. They assassinated political activists in Palestine. And they assassinate, of course, Hamas leaders to avoid negotiating with them.
Bam, da bam, bam. This is exactly what I've been saying for years. They always like to talk about how he's a failed art student, but this is what passed for art at this time, Dadaism. And no different than today, this was a substance and alcohol fueled movement, and he called it out for the garbage it was. And he called out who was influencing all of this. They did the same thing in America. Shlomo Guggenheim, who had all kind of money but no interest in art whatsoever until little Peggy went to college. And as just stated, they destroyed the idea of beautiful architecture and told everybody that dripping paint all over a canvas was just as good as all those people that spent their entire lives mastering a craft.
I did this as a backdoor attempt to dig into the mysteries of the sapient animals in the DreamWorks universe, which, like the magic you'll see, ties in with Mort. We then moved back over to Madagascar and looked into another character who was privy to animal IQ, that being Capitaine Dubois from the 3rd Madagascar movie.
Make up your mind on what news outlet you should believe in. Come to the land. You can see the truth, right? You can get the information right as it comes. You can experience both sides of the story. Because the truth is, there are Arabs here. There are Palestinians here. There are essentially every type of Middle Eastern insider. So you can see the truth of these people, because they are secular, they're a Christian, they're a Muslim, and they all live here.
We solved her past and threw in her ties to the old woman from the other films while we were at it. We finally left off this saga by seeking answers in the most important link of animal intelligence by far, Over the Hedge. We managed to dig into the depths of another character who seems privy to the thoughts of animals.
We speak with sort of derogation of the nature religions. You see, with that fall in the garden, nature was regarded as corrupt. There's a bit for you that corrupts the whole world for us. And every spontaneous act is sinful because nature is corrupt and has to be corrected, must not be yielded to. You get a totally different civilization.
Dwayne LaFontaine, the Verminator. He has an almost identical tracking skill set to Dubois. You might be asking yourself right now, why am I recapping all of this?
So what's that, 2 points for the Ancient King? And you have to consider who the other students were and that culture at the time. This is Mr. Hirschfield and his troupe of handsome young men. And he was one of many publishing books and papers and magazines promoting alternative lifestyles, and he performed the first penisectomy switcheroo. This was a 95% Christian society with very traditional values, while university culture was looking like this.
You might also be asking, how on earth do these all connect? And to answer both of those questions at once, I will simply respond with, I just explained it.
One of the reasons why I have the lurid subtitle I do, my book, Religion is a Poison, is that it makes ordinary moral people, compels them, forces them, in some cases orders them, to do disgusting, wicked, unforgivable things. There's no expiation for the generations of misery and suffering that religion has inflicted in this way and continues to inflict, and I still haven't heard enough apology for it.
Christopher, I've got to call you down on referring to circumcision as genital mutilation. My son cried more at his first haircut than he did at his bris. And statistically...
You weren't doing it right then.
Yes, Mort, the supreme god of animalistic intelligence, is a fast-tracked straight shot to the supernatural core of the DreamWorks universe's magic, animal awareness, and the many tactics that go into suppressing it at the behest of a worshipped pantheon of deities.
That someone was like, it's kind of fucked up to say that there's one pedophile Jew out there who kind of controls all of the politicians and runs the media. Oh, that is real? Oh, everything I said is true? All right, I got a lot of things I got to relearn.
An international underground network of suppression societies out to stop animals from dominating and stop Mort, or whatever force he initially represented, from rising.
Also, the Epstein files, that matters to people because that shows you that your government is being blackmailed, that we're actually being run by a group of blackmailed pedos in our government.
I mean, it should be obvious to you when almost, so what is it, like one vote away from it coming out? They don't want to reopen government?
No, they got it. They
did.
They're not so Mike Johnson won't bring the Congress into session because Thomas Massie has the extra vote he needed. So now they have a vote. They have enough members to vote to force the administration to release the Epstein files. And so that's why he won't bring them into session.
Do you see his Grindr messages got leaked?
Yeah.
Mike Johnson?
Yeah, we just did a video about it. We did a Mike McRae I just dropped it today. Here's
Donald Trump is visiting the UK this week in an unprecedented second state visit. Only 3 American presidents, including Trump, have had one, and he's the only elected leader in the world to have 2. So this is both quite a gesture on the part of the British government and the royal family, but it's also an insight into the lengths to which they are willing to go to stay on the right side of this president.
The Pall Match in Israeli history have an almost mythical quality. They're seen as being the cradle in many ways of Jewish society.
An unorthodox British officer named Ord Wingate was behind the Pall Match techniques.
Ord Wingate was a man with great, if unconventional, military talents, who he put at the disposal of the Jews when there was no state of Israel.
And you know what? I don't care what 2 people do in the privacy of their own home. I honestly don't. But it doesn't need to be promoted and glamorized. And it's really not even about the same chromosome interactions. It's promoting lust and opening the door for all types of societal ills.
Once again, as I said at the very end of the Mort theories, Mort's dream works. Mort is DreamWorks because his dream works because he's the animal intelligence hub and center of everything.
They legalized and normalized women of the night. There were neighborhoods where you could go pick up mother-daughter teams and any other strange proclivities you might have. Then they were also peddling smut. Well, look around today. Who is it that owns OnlyFans or Pornhub?
And I would like to use the rest of my time to say how appalled I am that people are bringing up the Holocaust. Do not use other genocides to describe this one. I have been...
We're not going to tolerate that.
This one that I personally do not see. It is a horrible, horrible, horrible situation.
Yes, I told you it was a lot to take in, and probably not entirely considered by the filmmakers. But the shocking thing isn't that, it's that the evidence truly is there.
Whom then does Christianity deny?
You're clearly just adding "un" to words that describe you. Who, me?
I am Christian. I'm a Protestant. I'm very proud of it. Presbyterian, to be exact.
I'm Presbyterian. Boy, that's down the middle of the road, folks, in all fairness. I mean, Seventh-day Adventist, I don't know about. I'm a Christian.
I have great relationship with God. I have great relationship with the evangelicals.
I'm a Christian.
And I go to church a lot, always on Christmas, always on Easter, always when there's a major occasion, and during the Sundays. I'm a Sunday church person.
I'm a Christian.
I like to do the right thing where I don't have to actually ask for forgiveness.
To save America, get your friends, get your family, get everyone you know, and vote
vote early, vote absentee, vote on election day. I don't care how, but you have to get out and vote. And again, Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed, it'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You gotta get out and vote.
Un clan de pedófilos quiere acabar la democracia en Colombia.
A clan of pedophiles wants to end democracy in Colombia.
This video about the Gideon thing, Will?
Trace, as you know, correct, 100%, and she's 100% correct. I am now about to launch Gideon, America's first ever AI threat detection platform built specifically for law enforcement. It scrapes the internet 24/7 using an Israeli-grade ontology to pull specific threat language and then routes it to local law enforcement.
Just gets worse and worse by the minute. This is the post that Sean King put out there. In the middle of the night, Elon Musk deleted every single tweet I've made about Israeli Tom Alexandrovich that was arrested in Las Vegas for crimes against children. All of them, every retweet, every link to my articles, gone. Those lawyers were told a government demand required us to remove the tweets, but they didn't tell the lawyers which government. Then it turns out that it gets confirmed that Twitter admitted it was the Israelis that asked them to get rid of the tweets, and they complied.
It's a 24/7 detective. It never sleeps, and it's going to get us in front of these attacks.
Would it have picked up on this, do you think?
100%. I wish my program would already be up. We're not launching until next week. I've got a dozen agencies on board, Trace. I just unloaded a major Northeast agency with over 2,700 sworn. This is America's early warning system.
Lieutenant, the fact that they're on TV and the news being so blatant about, because we all assume that they have some sort of level of this, but for them to signal out to the world that this is okay, that this is something that they're willing to do, that they're working on now, and that the fact that they're just telling you, it's crazy, dude.
Did I go on what? Did I go on the No Kings protest? I think that would be a little bit hypocritical from a man from Britain. If there'd been a No Kings apart from Charles, I would have been fucking bang up for it.
Everybody's heard about this attack on free speech, right? Well, that was the kind of stuff that they were torching. The students themselves came up with the 12 Theses, which is a knockoff of Martin Luther's 95 Theses, a fellow countryman that had warned them of this kind of thing 400 years before.
I don't want to neglect the fact that Donald Trump also said that he would bring peace to Gaza in 24 hours. And Donald Trump lied to all of the Arabs for Trump and the Palestinians for Trump and the Arab and Palestinian community and Muslim community in general. At least 82 people were killed by Israeli airstrikes in Gaza on Friday alone, today, as Trump wrapped up his regional trip. And we're seeing those numbers every day rise and rise and rise.
The king, impelled more by the love of military glory than by superstition, acted from the beginning of his reign as if the sole purpose of his government had been the relief of the Holy Land and the recovery of Jerusalem from the Saracens against infidels, being communicated to his subjects, broke out in London on the day of his coronation, and made them find a crusade less dangerous and attended with more immediate profit. The prejudices of the age had made the lending of money on interest pass by the invidious name of usury, yet the necessity of the practice had still continued it, and the greater part of that kind of dealing fell everywhere into the hands of the Jews.
No, that ain't the point, Woodrow. What is it then? Another 20 years, we'll be the Indians. They'll be trying to stick us on the reservation just to get us out of the way.
Who, being already infamous on account of their religion, had no honor to lose and were apt to exercise a profession, odious in itself, by every kind of rigor, and even sometimes by rapine and extortion.
And one of those is we want to eradicate lies, we want to denounce treason, we want institutions of discipline and political education for us, the students, not mindlessness. And just like today, when they push too far into that mindlessness, young people instinctively know what feels right and what feels wrong. You don't have to teach a beaver how to build a dam, it's just base programming.
So what the hell else am I supposed to do with it? Whether it was intentional or not, it still exists, and the patterns cannot be dismissed in my line of work.
Another central aspect of the book is the assertion that Greys had no creativity of their own. Kind of like Lord of the Rings. They can't create, they can only corrupt.
Statistically, the only long-term effect that it seems to have on people is it increases their chances of winning a Nobel Prize. I can't find the compulsory mutilation of the genitals of children a subject for humor in that way, or flippancy in that way.
And you was gonna be at the bottom, and gonna be at the top. No, I'm teaching you right now.
No, you're not.
Because you've been told lies.
No, I know the
Why do rabbis suck baby penises?
What?
Why do rabbis suck baby penises?
Why does the doctor grab a kid's balls for hernia?
No, that's different. That's different. Doctors don't suck penises, baby penises.
You know what that's worth?
So, you see how sick this nigga is? Hey, look at doctors don't suck baby penises.
But now, since we both know the criminal is capable of love and loyalty only when it suits his own self-interest, I've come to make the following point. It don't. No more. In submission, boy. If you could sacrifice your youngest, like Isaac in the Holy Book, well then giving up two strangers to keep the might of the federal government off your back. Well, now that should be as facile as breathing. I like you. We Mormons are very friendly people. No. Pretty unfriendly, really. But it's the way you're unfriendly. Like you're doing me a favor.
Why do rabbis suck baby penises?
It has a
Answer
name.
me that.
It has a name. The teacher Bakai, yeah.
Yeah, why do they do that?
Why?
They suck yours too, huh?
Dude, yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness.
Age had nothing to do with it. You were afraid I'd leave the gang. That's what it was. All I've ever been to you is an accomplice, never a daughter. I just...
He maintained that they were imitators living off the efforts of other people. In his words, they were individuals who insinuated themselves into working class nations and weakened them from within.
All right, then we'll pull. Did I hear you correctly, Mr. Mark? You're pulling the torpedo.
Look, Father, I have to, man. Jordan's getting banged up out there, and I gotta pull a relief for the rest of the game. I have to.
Mr. Mark, sacrifice is a virtue. If you recall, Abraham was ready to stop his own son. So it's just your nephew.
This idea, disguised as historical analysis, served as the basis for his future segregation policies. By defining the Greys as an alien factor who exploited others, he blocked any possibility of integration or tolerance. See, that's where you're wrong, because they'd been living there since the time of Martin Luther, 400 years earlier, and they still hadn't integrated. They are never going to integrate. They don't want to. Go to New York. In several parts of the book, he makes it clear that any attempt at coexistence was doomed to failure and that history itself offered examples of what happened when peoples did not decisively confront the Grey problem.
People in the Trump administration know about students who are quote-unquote pro-Hamas. Do you think they know? Who's telling the Trump administration, go after that person? Go after that person? Who's supplying the names? Yesterday, they went after Harvard Middle Eastern Studies Department. They just got rid of the leadership. Who's behind that?
He directly linked the growth of Greyism with the decline of great civilizations. He asserted that Rome had fallen for allowing the loss of identity and that the Austro-Hungarian Empire was weakened for not defending its national essence. In his interpretation, Greys were experts at infiltrating and adapting to dominant cultures and weakening them internally.
I see now. This is really the truth behind all truth.
Good? Doesn't sound good? Are you drinking the Red Bull? Come on, chug them down.
One war produces 3 generations of controllable humans.
I feel sick.
That's the vitamin. ripping out the inside of your stomach. That's a good thing.
Control how? Control them with a loser's mindset.
Trust me.
A loser's mindset has the mindset to be isolated, untrusting, dishonorable, non-cooperating.
Down right on the top part and smash down with all your weight. You'll break the kid's foot in 3 places.
What if I get hurt?
They have been divided and conquered. They have adopted the Friedman strategy.
That's a good question. Now, as long as you hurt the other kid as bad or worse than he hurts you, you'll have done your job.
This strategy, honor to the inside, dishonor to the outside. A two-faced game theory.
And I'll be proud of you.